Gentlemen, welcome to the wildcard round wrap-up here at this 13th season of Blood, Sweat, and Beers. First, Zach, as we look back at the games that were played during the wildcard round, it was a wild round. It was a game of extremes. On one side, we saw a complete blowout, 72-point loss by the fantasy football team, where the majority of the team failed to show up. In fact, the only starting player, it's actually a group of players, to score double digits was the defense. So otherwise, everybody was under 10 points, including the number one fantasy quarterback, not even scoring a full point. There was no chance. It wouldn't have mattered who Aaron started, maybe within reason, but he was going to get the win. That's just how it was. The wheels fell off the fantasy football team. No moral victory there. You got into the playoffs, but made no difference at all. On the other end of the spectrum, we had what has become the tightest margin of victory in league history, 0.02 points. Almost as tight as it could possibly have been without it actually being a tie. That starts to really make you look at the roster moves, the adjustments. It could have gone either way. There were points on the bench on both sides that could have made it not nearly as close or could have changed the outcome entirely. But it completely supports my theory that Ian was just happy to take a step back and let someone else have the victory, have the glory, got to the playoffs. Maybe that was the moral victory. He was good to go from there. So as we see, our lowest scoring team, Keith's team, has made it past the wild card round. I think we can say he survived that round. That's probably a good way to put that. And he will go up against the stumbling former number one team in the league, Light Rail Coyote. That's going to be an interesting matchup because Keith's team is doing just enough to score some points. So which team for Donnie will show up? He scored 120 points and had 2 open spots this past week. That already was enough to have beaten Keith's starting lineup. What will happen? So will the projections play out? They're giving Light Rail Coyote a decent edge right now, but we'll have to see. Will Keith continue the unlikely path to a second championship, or will we see a league rookie make his way to the championship game? On the flip side, the other matchup puts the two hottest teams over the past month up against each other. This is going to be a slug out, a slugfest, a heavyweight bout. Anyway, it should be interesting. The projections at this point with their current lineups as of today are tight, just tenths of a point separating. And projections, we realize, can be wildly inaccurate and often are, unfortunately, sometimes. But this will be a good one. I think that whoever ends up winning this one ends up as the clear favorite. And so we've got two former champions going head to head. Will Aaron continue his path to the unprecedented third championship? Or will Hoffman continue his run that's been impressive from the beginning and try to get his name next to the rest of the deuces, or as John likes to call the group, the Two-Timers Club? Still don't like that one. For that one, I think it comes down to the choice of tight ends. There's a lot of questionables going into the weekend on both sides of that roster, but watch the tight end matchup. Both have some potential, excellently scoring tight ends, right? The guys that have had some great points, but sometimes those points have been on the bench. Hunter Henry last week. Not that it mattered. He didn't need points from his tight end last week to win. But watch the tight end matchup, and we'll see if that really ends up making the difference. Down in the other section, the consolation ladder, I think there were some games played. Aren't there? I think there were. I think that John lost to Joey twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row. That's pretty harsh. And just like the team that he roots for in real life, Zach decided to kind of just not show up this week too. Although still would have beat fantasy football team. So, there's that. But keep an eye out. We'll see who gets closer to realizing their goal of hoisting the championship mug, drinking their favorite beverage out of that, gloating to the rest of the team, and who will be disappointed and, decide if they even want to come back next year. Stay tuned for the next round of the playoffs.